betrayal. The sting of betrayal. And when we look at what betrayal is, we say it's an act of disloyalty, deception, or breaking a trust, often involving a person or a group who was expected to be loyal. See, it hits a little different when it comes from somebody you love or you trust in. Amen. We expect for the people who hate us to betray us. Amen. We expect for people that always got something to say, that's always watching to see and catch you messing up and want to report you or always got something to say about how you do things. Amen. We expect them to betray us at any moment that they get. Every chance that they get to tell on you or out you out or something, or make you lose a job or lose some money or family members, or can't wait to have your ear to spread some gossip about you. Sometimes we go in and we talk to somebody in confidence, somebody you trusted that you could go to and tell them something that's bothering you, something that's maybe a sickness that's in your body, or maybe a relationship issue you might be having. You might be having problems in your marriage or problems at work. And you go to this person and tell them because it feels good to be able to get it off your chest. Amen? Amen. And you're so used to being able to do that. And you might have been with this person for all their life. You grew up with them and you went to school with them and they were at your wedding, at your mom or dad's funeral, whatever it is, and this person who you ate with and you supped with and you did all kind of things, and we went here and we had fun and we fought people together. For that person to turn around and stab you in your back, that leaves a bitter sting. And we know with Christ, the sting of death is no more. But the betrayal still hurts. And when I think about Christ and how he was betrayed by his own disciple who kissed him on the cheek, the same way we see our young fellas in the streets do with somebody and they cool together, but the same one that's out to get you, that's robbing you behind your back. Betrayal of a loved one stings. It stings. And so when we look at Psalms 55, this is a psalm of David, and it's to the chief musician of Negartha. And it's a psalm of David, but we're going to parallel that with the betrayal that he feels with the betrayal that Christ went through. Psalm 55 says, "Give ear to my prayer, O God, and hide not myself from supplication. Attend to me, and hear me in my mourn, in my complaint, and I make a noise. Because the voice of the enemy, because of the oppression of the wicked, for they cast iniquity upon me, and in wrath they hate me." He said, "Lord, I'm dealing with these folk all over the place that's on this ear and they in this ear, and if it's not one thing, it's another. The wicked always seem to be trying to trap me up. This one I thought was cool with me, but when I go to work, I'm hearing things that they done told that I'm doing and spreading rumors about how I'm acting or how I'm behaving. They're looking for a way to stab me in my back. Amen. And it sores me. It says, my heart is sore pain within me, and the terrors of death are falling upon me." The betrayal can be so deep that you can fear for your very life. Because these days, folks not just trying to hurt you one way, they want to take your life. They want to murder you in the street or kill you at home or whatever it is, killing your dreams, killing your hopes. He said, my heart is sore pain. These terrors of death have now fallen upon me. I'm hearing this, I'm hearing these rumors, and I'm hearing they said this, I'm hearing they talking like this. I always got something to say, but now it's starting to worry me. I'm worried about my family. I'm worried about my home. Or is it going to lead to something happening in my home? I'm worried about, am I going to have to kill them? Amen? It says, verse 5 says, fearfulness and trembling have come upon me, and horror hath overwhelmed me. Brothers and sisters, the sting of betrayal can lead so deep that it have you worried about this so much that you can't even process the day. You can't deal with what's in front of you because you're worried about what's behind you. Fearness and trembling have taken over me. And it says, and I said, oh, that I had wings like a dove, for then I would fly away and be at rest. How often that we wish we could just fly away from here. Get up out of the mess that you might be going through. And sometimes it's so thick, it's hard to get out of it. You might have somebody you know that's dealing with so much, and every day they got to teach themselves or talk themselves into getting up and going to work. They got to convince themselves that their life is still worth living. Convince themselves that I'm going to take care of home no matter what I do. So much want to just get up and fly. The pressures at home might be the cause of your problems. You got somebody who you have that has your ear at night that is betraying you behind your back. And you want to stay and take care of your family. You want to take care of home, but thoughts of flying away cross your mind. You got to be careful and trust. It says, oh, if I wish I had wings like a dove, then I would just fly away and be at rest. I won't have to deal with this no more. I'm just going to leave. But you can't run away from life. You can't run away from your responsibility. You can't run away from people. Because you're going to run into haters everywhere you go. Somebody always going to hate you, whether it's the way you look, the way you dress, the way you talk, or if you have the Lord's favor. They wonder why you always doing this, but the Lord seems to always have favor for them. They can't stand you for that. Always got something to say. Complain about this, you fix that, and they complain about that. And then as soon as you do this, they're still ready to stab you in your back. This is the same thing Christ was feeling when he had come and had done so much for the people in Jerusalem, so many miracles and wonderful things that he did for the people, but they still cried out, crucify him. That had to hit hard in the ultimate betrayal. He said, Lord, then I would wander far off if I had the wings. I could fly and live in the wilderness. Selah. He says, I would hasten my escape from the windy storm in the tempest. I would get away from all of this mess. I would hurry up and plan a way to get away from all the hate that's looking at me, the stabbing stare that's looking me in my back of my head. I would hasten my escape and destroy, O Lord, and divide their tongues. For I have seen violence and strife in the city. Verse 10 says, day and night they go about it, upon the walls thereof mischief. Also, and sorrow are in the midst of it. We try not to get caught up in the world because it's nothing but mischief. Everywhere you look, Facebook, social media, internet, everywhere you go, it's mischief. Mess going on that is killing the dreams of some of these of folks that's living in these worlds. You might have had plans to get out. You have plans to do this, but somebody always pulling you down, trying to keep you from God's blessings. The sting of betrayal is deep, especially for those you thought you loved, especially for those who live with you or you've been with, you supped with. It said wickedness is in the midst thereof, deceit and guile depart not from her streets. For it was not an enemy that reproached me. Here go the shout. It wasn't even an enemy that did me wrong. It wasn't even the enemy that called me out. It wasn't the enemy that stabbed me in the back. It wasn't the enemy who took time planning how to plot and destroy me. It wasn't even the enemy. Because if it was, I could have borne it. If it was the enemy, I can understand, because haters are going to hate. That's their job. But if it was them, I could deal with it. I know who to keep close to me. Amen? I could have borne it if it was my enemy. It says, neither was it he that hated me that did magnify himself against me. It wasn't even the ones you thought hated you. It was the ones that thought loved you. That plotted on you. Plotted to kill you. Plotted to destroy your dreams. It said, if it was, I would have hid myself from him. You know, when you're going somewhere and folk don't like you, you just stop going. If I'm going to go somewhere and they got a problem with the way I'm doing this, or got a problem on how I live, or got something to say about how I do this or that, I just stay away from them. Amen? So you feed them with a long handled spoon. You just don't deal with it. He said, but I couldn't do that because it wasn't my enemy. It was thou, a man of my equal, my God, and my acquaintance. We took sweet counsel together and walked into the house of God in company. It's the one you just sit next to at church. Could be the one you sit next to at work. That's who it is. That's why it stings so hard. It's somebody you're in class with. It's somebody you live with, you deal with all these years. You called your best friend. Took sweet counsel. I mean, we laughed together. We cried together. We did all kind of things together. It was them. We even walked into the church house together. It was at my wedding or at your wedding or whatever it was. We took sweet counsel. And that's why it hurts so much. The sting of betrayal. Because it's never the one that you thought would do it. Amen. We skip over to 21 as I get ready to close. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn like swords. See, it's the one that's got your ear. You got to be careful. It says his words were smooth as butter. It's always, they want to know what's going on and they want to tell you a little bit, make you feel comfortable to drop your guard. Then when you drop your guard, they behind your back plotting how to get your life. Amen. They don't have what you may have, and they feel like they should have it because they went through more than you went through. Amen. They don't understand that God's favor is for those he chooses. Amen. And if you are chosen of God, it's going to hurt when they sting you with betrayal. But you got to know that God is still with you. Just like Christ, he said, forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do to me. Amen. They did all kind of manner of evil to him. They cried out, crucify him, and carried him from judgment hall to judgment hall. They hung him on a rugged cross. And still he said, Lord, forgive them. But what hurt him the most is when Peter denied him 3 times. Says they took him away and led him and brought him into the high priest's house, and Peter was following afar off. See, Peter was one that said, I'll be with you no matter what happens, Lord. I got your back no matter what's going on. Whatever happens, we get into it, we going all the way there together. But when it happened and they came and got him, Judas came up on, hey, Lord, kissed him on the cheek. That sting, I believe, might have been one of the most painful things Christ went through in that moment. Even though he knew it was to happen, it was the will of God, it still hurt because that's your partner. That's who you've been with all this time. Amen. That's somebody you love. We had sweet counsel. How could you do this to me? And even Peter, he didn't want to totally ditch him, but he stayed afar off because he didn't want to be caught up with what was happening in Jesus. You know, people say they with you. People say they'll ride with you no matter what. They say till the wheels fall off. Amen? But soon as the strut go out, you find out who your true friends are. Soon as the engine light come on, you find out who your true friends are. They ain't with you like they said they're going to be with you. Even Peter, who was a great man of God, still stood back afar off. And when they had kindled a fire in the midst of the hall, they had snatched Jesus, and it was dark outside, and they were building fires to go from one place to another. He sat down among the folks. But a certain lady beheld him and sat by the fire and looked at him and said, wait a minute, wasn't you with him too? And he denied him. Sting of betrayal. Denied him, saying, woman, I know him not. Not that I didn't have nothing to do with that. He said, I don't even know him. That's gotta hurt. You sitting in court and you going down for something you didn't do, and somebody that you love is looking right at you and say, he the one that did it. And you ain't even do it. That ultimate sting of betrayal. He said, you was with him. He said, I don't even know him. And after a little while, you know he had to feel guilty in his heart. He saw another person saw him and said, thou also was one of them. Yeah, that was you. You was with Christ. And Peter said, man, I am not him. Sting of betrayal. And then about a space of 1 hour, after another confidently affirmed, saying, oh, of a truth, this fellow was with him, for he is a Galilean. See, folks want everybody to be in suffrage. When they got Jesus, they wanted them all. And his boys are supposed to be his disciples, his closest loved ones. They stung him. He stung him. He said, I don't even know him. And said it 3 times. I do not know him. He said, man, I know him not. What you talking about? I am, and says, and immediately while he spoke, the cock crowed. See, Jesus had told him, he told him, Jesus, I'm gonna be with you, man. I love you. I'm never gonna betray you. I'm gonna be with you to the very end. He said, Peter, before the cock crows, you will have denied me 3 times. And he looked at him, he was like, nah, not me. I'm with you, right? I'm the one that's right-hand man. I'm with you. And before he could even say anything, he heard the cock crow. And immediately he heard the cock crow. And the Lord turned and looked upon Peter. And Peter remembered the word of the Lord. And how he had said to him, before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. See, he was far enough for Jesus to see him. That's why the betrayal stung so much. He was there enough for Jesus to see. He getting grabbed up and drugged from judgment hall to judgment hall. And Peter is just close enough to see him, to see your best friend denying you. Jesus looked at him and told him, before the cock crew, he remembered, you're going to deny me 3 times. And what did Peter do? He went out and wept bitterly. See, the act of betrayal not only stings the one being betrayed, but it will also sting the one doing the betraying. eventually they're going to realize how they have wronged you. He said he went out and he wept bitterly because the sting of betrayal has no care for persons. And even though, like I said, we know that death has no sting because of Christ, but betrayal stings hard, especially from those you love. Amen. So I implore you this morning on this Resurrection Sunday, if there's anyone that betrayed you in your life, see it in your heart to forgive them. Because at the end of the day, it was all a plan. And God has your back. Amen? Amen. God has your back. No matter when this one or that one don't have your back, God got your back. Amen. Before more than your own mama and your daddy, God has your back. Amen. When you're all alone, and the one who is your best friend, I don't even know you. That would tear my heart up. I got a best friend named Rashad. And if something was to happen and he was to tell him, I don't even know him, that would crush me. Because we've been together since second grade. But it has